Friends, Brian here for Yes You Can Play Guitar. Today I want to do everyone a good deed, a good turn, and give you guys, the struggling musicians out there, my top tips and advice to actually make money as a performing musician. This video was inspired, although I wanted to do a video like this for some time. My good friend Tim Conley from Toronto, Hamilton area, he did a video recently that's been getting a lot of views and a lot of reactions and a lot of comments talking about how there's no money in Ontario anymore for live musicians. It was a great video. I could relate to a lot of what Tim is saying. Now, although I've played in the Toronto metropolitan area, that's not the area of Ontario where I live. So for all my American friends, in the United States, you have states. In Canada, we have provinces. Provinces are the same thing as states. Ontario is one of the larger geographically provinces, and it's the most heavily populated. I lived in Ontario all of my professional life. When I was a working musician, I played in Ontario. I don't live in Ontario anymore, but I have pretty good insight to this as well. And I want to go on the flip side of this and give you guys my top tips for making money. Because, you know, quite frankly, guys, some of you aren't going to like what I have to say, but most musicians don't get it. And I've seen this for years and years playing in bands. You meet someone who's like, yeah, man, I want to make money at this. I want to do this and that, do this and that. But when things get going, you're like, oh my God, are you serious? I willingly retired from playing live 10 years ago. And my reasons for that wasn't so much about the pay, because the actual last band I worked for was very professional and I actually got paid very well. It was two things, really. I had just turned 40 and I found that late nights and getting home early in the morning was really starting to take a toll on my body and my health. And number two, the singer we had at that time was a fantastic singer. And where we lived, when he gave his notice, because his family, they started having children, he just couldn't keep up the schedule anymore. I knew we weren't going to be able to replace him. I actually recently reconnected with the singer. He's going to be here sometime soon to do a video with me talking about those times and talking about our experiences for you guys. Tip number one, if you want to be a career or a job, treat it like a career or a job, not like a simple hobby that you don't give too much time or attention to. In my area, for many years, and probably still today, there was a band that was way ahead of every other cover band, and they made a lot of money. People just had no grasp of how much money this band made. And it used to amaze me, the following they would get and the money they would make to play Sweet Home Alabama and Brown Eyed Girl. But when you watch their formula, it was actually with time, it was kind of easy to break down and understand. The fellow who ran the band, who was a guitar player, he also sang, he was always kind to me. And sometimes he'd give me little snippets of advice. One of the best pieces of advice he ever gave me is, he said, Brian, if you want to make money doing this, you have to look objectively at your band. Don't look at it like a band member. Look at it like someone off the street coming into the club looking at your band. What are they going to think? What do they see? You know, when you want someone to critique your band, you don't want friends, you don't want family, because they don't know. They're just going to say, yeah, you guys rock, even if you guys suck. You want someone to come in and say, hey, you know what? I couldn't hear the kick drum in the mix. The vocals were way too loud. This was wrong. That was wrong. You know, that's the type of feedback that you want. Be professional. Be on time. Keep your agreements. Be well groomed. Look good. If you look like you just came from the hunting camp and you haven't shaved or bathed in 4 weeks, what is that conveying to your audience? What is that conveying to the people that are hiring you? Wear professional stage attire. One thing I can't stand that people just don't get, if I went out right now, if you said, hey, Brian, you know, let's head out, let's have some chicken wings tonight, and we go out and see this poster of this hot new professional band in the area, and we go and see them, and there's a music stand in front of the singer with an open binder with pages falling out, that turns me off. I'm like, these people aren't professional. Learn your damn lyrics. When it comes to jazz or classical, we can overlook that because of the complexity of the chord charts and the repertoire that they're playing. So in classical and jazz, you're allowed to have these music stands with sheets in front of them to help the musician. But if you're just playing rock, country, metal, whatever, be professional. Don't have a music stand. Have a PA system. What does that mean? People are like, PA system, what's that? Public address system, your speakers, your sound system. Have a mixing board. Have a PA system for your sound. Know how to mix your band's sound. Have a bit of lighting. Have a little bit of production. A lot of people will be like, well, that costs money. Why do I want to do that? Well, you're going to get a lot more gigs. If you get a call saying, hey, you know, this is Farmer Joe and we're having a big corn fest, we're willing to pay you guys $2,000 to come out and play at our barn party. Oh, we don't have a PA system. I would just go out, invest the money, and get one instead of having to rent it all the time and transport back and forth and create extra traveling. But when you have that ability to provide your own sound and lighting, you're going to have way more opportunities to gig. Get your own PA system. You don't want to be at the mercy of a club with a crappy PA system that's half broken down from other bands abusing it. It's going to open up way more gigs to you and more opportunities to make money. Listen to what works and what doesn't work. If you're in a band and you're playing to an audience, guys, this is the truth. Most of your audience, they want to drink. They want to forget about all the BS they put up with that week. They want to forget about how much they hate their jobs. They want to forget about how much they hate their relationship. They just want to go and have a good time and forget all their worries. So when you're playing to your audience and what they want. I know for a lot of bands, especially original artists, that can be a hard pill to swallow. And if you're in a band and you got that one band member that insists on playing that one song where the whole dance floor sits down, you got to talk to him. He has to understand. It's just not about that story. And virtuosos. I worked for years to try and be a virtuoso guitar player. The real truth is, most people don't care. It's your show. What are you putting on? If you're all up there with your head down going like this, even if you're amazing, you might get a couple of music freaks coming out to check out your licks, but that's not going to turn an audience on. That's not going to want to get people to party, get up and dance, and come out and see your band. When you are playing a gig, you have to learn how to work the room. What does that mean, working the room? Working the room is when you have a break in your set, go out, start mingling with the people. Say, hey, how are you doing? What's your name? Where are you guys from? Thanks for coming out. They're going to see the backdrop with your band name on it. And they're like, hey, that guy's a really nice guy. I'm going to come back next time and bring more friends because I want to support that band. They were really cool to me. One of the last working bands I played in was my own band. It was a 3-piece country classic rock band. And there were so many things driving me nuts in that band. It could have been so much more than what it was. We could have made so much more money than what it was. One of the things, for the most part, I would try and work the room where the other two guys would go sit in the corner with their backs to everybody when we'd have a break. Doesn't work. Learn to work the room. Even if you're an introvert, learn to be an extrovert. Learn to be nice to people, and people will start coming out more to support your band. Friends, appearance matters. It really does, and I hate to tell you that, but that's just the sad, sad truth of the world. That's why so many people on TikTok or Instagram get these huge followings, usually, compared to other people that really try hard with their posts and they get really slow followings. Same thing with playing in a band, okay? If you all look good, hey, it's going to help your band out. If your bass player is 200 pounds overweight and he's got a big chili stain down the sweater when you guys are playing live, that's a problem. Sorry. But I hate to tell you guys this, and I know there's some people that aren't going to like it, but your appearance means everything. How does your hair look? How does your teeth look? How's your breath? If you get a band with some people that, kind of work out, take care of themselves, and they look pretty good, and they're a good band, they're probably going to do better than the band that don't care how they look, how they smell, how they come across to people, but are good musicians. Sorry. Work out. Take care of yourself. How do you look? One of the top things I'm going to talk to you guys about that you're not going to like is this whole thing about alcohol. I played in bands with someone who just needed to take a shot or two of something for their nerves. Some people that would need to go outside and smoke something or do something else. I didn't care. Just show up, play well, do a great job, make us all look fantastic. But I've also been in bands where people had alcohol issues. Like what job can you go to where you get paid to get drunk? But the whole thing with bars you want to look at is they only, no matter what, no matter how well you draw, they're going to have a ceiling limit of how much they can pay you. The last band I worked for was very popular in the area I played in, and they just wouldn't play bars anymore because they would always draw a big crowd, and the bars would start to tell them, we can't pay you any more than this, and it's okay, sorry. Well, if you don't play bars, where do you play? You want to look at a bar eventually as like a filler gig. You want to look at it as like, this is a paid practice. One of the bands I had, we had this bar that wasn't too far from where we lived. And when we had to go over some new material, we liked this bar because it wasn't far. We didn't make a ton of money, but that was okay. We knew that going in. It was an easy load in for all the equipment, the side door going from the parking lot right to the stage. And, we had a time at that night because it was a restaurant too. And the stage was around the corner, so the people in the restaurant couldn't see the band. So we would keep things really low, almost to the monitor mix, and we'd kind of quietly rehearse some new songs. And if the song went well, we would keep it. If it didn't go well or needed more work, we wouldn't play it that night. Worked out really good. But for the most part, you want to keep a bar as more of a filler gig or a paid practice. Where the real money is when you start playing at the fairs, festivals, private gigs. That includes corporate Christmas parties, things of that nature. I was very fortunate. The last band I worked for, they had us booked constantly playing these types of gigs. I was fortunate because they were already established and already had those connections. They said, hey, things aren't working out with our lead guitar player. We need you to come in. No problem. Knew my job. Went in and did it. Guys, I've been out of the loop for 10 years, but I still think for a lot of bands, if you look at some of the things I said, if there's a will, there's a way. What can you do to set yourself apart? Unfortunately, to make money, it's very hard to do as an original band. Cover bands, because the people are familiar with the music, as I said, if you look at the majority of the people who want to go out, they want to feel good. They've had a tough week. They want to listen to the songs that really make them feel good, make them feel nostalgic, maybe make them feel young again before they're divorced. I don't know. Unfortunately, playing covers, you're going to make a hell of a lot more money than you are as an original band. No one knows your music. Nobody knows who you are. The choice is yours. You know, when you got to get the bills paid, what do you do? But no matter what, if you're going to go out and perform live, treat it well. Nourish it. One of the big things for me, why even now today, I'll still get offers to join different bands. People are like, oh man, you're an awesome guitar player. Come out and join our band. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm really good. My biggest problem with playing in bands was actually having to deal with other musicians. Playing in bands is often like being in a relationship. Imagine a dating site. Do people on the dating site in their profile, do they put their worst pictures? Are they upfront and honest, say, hey, I'm an alcoholic. Hey, I have drug issues. I'm in debt. If I play in a band with you, I'm going to take my financial problems out on you. I'm going to have to ask for rides all the time. I'm going to have to get you to pay for my strings. I'm going to constantly bug you to borrow money to pay my bills or get some groceries so I can eat every week. No, what generally happens is you get together. Maybe you audition, even auditioning for a band, it's like, okay, I've been in those situations where, oh man, you're a wicked player, join our band. Well, wait, man, I don't know you guys. Can we not just kind of jam for a while? Like the pressure's on right away. Are you in or are you out, man? Come on. If I go out in one date, I'm not gonna deal with pressure of having to marry that person. I was always big on band agreements. Okay, we're gonna do this band. What are we agreeing to? When I had a 3-piece country classic rock band that was really, really booked, I did my part to book the band, keep the band really busy. I actually had to take out a loan for $8,000, charged interest, to buy the majority of the PA gear. The other band members didn't really understand that. We had a bass player who, he was a bit older than I was anyway, and it was really too bad because he was a good bass player and he was a really good singer, and he looked good. He just had this older man look that the women really liked, but my 3 rules with band agreements. The band's going to be professional, so be on time because we're a 3-piece band. And the less people you have in your band, folks, the more money you're going to make, the less ways you have to split it. Be on time, help with the load in and the load out. No cheat sheets. Know the frickin' songs. We had red flags from day one, but it's just as time went on and on, it was almost like he had that resistance personality where he was like, I'm going to go against the grain. You're trying to run things. I'm going to do the exact opposite. Show up not groomed, forget his stage clothes. It seemed like almost every weekend he would be later and later to the gigs. What do? I voiced my concern many times, and then after a year and a half, I said, adios, muchachos. I knew what was going to happen when I left. I did everything. I took care of the website, all the promotion, most of the gigs. I had most of the PA equipment, and when I left, they got another guitar player who also sang. They played 2 gigs, one of which was due to my contact. The actual venue contacted me after. They said, we didn't know that you weren't in the band. It was awful. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. And then they played a really, really crappy gig at a pool hall that I never would have booked the band in. And then they folded. That's the funny thing with bands, folks. People, even when they know that they have a good thing, I often say this, it's like relationships too. When people have something really good in life, instead of nurturing it and making it grow together, a lot of people have a tendency to just squash it. And they never come back and say, I was a real dick. I'm sorry. If I was in that situation where I had a good pay every weekend and I knew I kind of messed things up for the guy who was really running the show, I probably would have called him and said, hey man, I'm really sorry. I was kind of a jerk. Let me take you out to dinner. Let's get this figured out. I want this again. I'll give you a better effort. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So a lot of my whole thing with not being in bands anymore too. Although my last band experience was good, was I just didn't want to deal with musicians anymore. Guys, what do you think? Comment below. And Tim, I love your content. Check out Tim's YouTube channel and his video. It's a fantastic video. So guys, these are my top tips for making money as a performing musician. I'm sure things have changed a bit the past 10 years, but in my experiences, the money is there. You just have to look at what your product is. Now again, being in a place like Toronto, like my friend Tim was, you have a lot of competition competing for the same slice of pie. Probably a totally different thing than what I've seen. But if you're in a band and you see all these red flags, pay attention to them. Don't waste time, because then you'll look back when you're 50 and go, man, why did I waste my time with these people? I could have been doing this or doing that. I hope that helps. What do you guys think? Guys, thank you for all the support, the likes, the comments, the people subscribing, people joining Patreon or buy me a coffee. I really appreciate it. It means so much. What do you guys think? And remember, guys, practice hard, but practice smart, and we'll see you soon.